Utilities Advisory Commission meeting to order. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have 4 present here tonight, so we do have a quorum. So we'll move on to the public comment. We have time now for any public comments. Since there is no one from the public in the attendance tonight, we'll move on to the consent agenda. All matters listed within the consent agenda have been distributed to each member for study. These items are considered to be routine and will be enacted upon by one motion with no separate discussion. If separate discussion is desired on an item, that may be removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular agenda. Are there any items any members of the commission would like removed from the consent agenda? Seeing none, can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
All motion.
Second.
Motion by Augustine, second by Williams. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. We do not have any old business tonight, so we'll move on to new business. Consider a recommendation to the City Council to execute a contract for utility locating services.
Good evening, Chairman, Commissioners. I'm a little ahead here. So in the current utility locating services is being done by Integrity Locating Services, LLC, since January 2018. They had a 4-year contract that expired last year, and so we went ahead and posted request for proposals for 2023 to 2026. Prior to Integrity, USIC used to perform the locating for the city for, I think, over 15 years. So on September 6, 2022, a request for proposal was posted on the city website, legal record, and Drexel Technologies plan room. 10 companies requested the RFP and only 4 responded. As part of the purchasing policy, a selection committee was formed to evaluate the different proposals. The committee members were Gonzalo Garcia, Sharon Rose, she's the city clerk representing administration, Jeff Lemire, utilities manager, John Trickett, he's a engineering technician 2 representing public works, and Bruce Baldwin, electric distribution manager. So we met on October 13th to review the 4 proposals. After a discussion, the selection committee agreed that USIC Locating Services meets and exceeds the requirements set forth on the RFP. So we're recommending USIC Locating Services for the utility locates effective January 1st, 2023. Any questions?
Are there any questions for staff? Well, I have one. Who have you been using since December of 2021? Since the contract ended then?
So the agreement with Integrity, you had an option to extend it. So we verbally agreed to extend the contract through 2022.
Through personal experience, who do you feel did a better job between USIC and Integrity? I mean, they're pretty close in prices, and since we've used both.
I was not here, I got hired in 2015, so I had 2 years experience with USIC.
So is there a reason why, because it looks like Integrity's a little cheaper, which I understand you don't always want to go with the cheapest, but what was the deciding factor going with
There,
USIC?
I think I have it here written somewhere.
Because I totally get it, I just wondered what that.
So in 2018 and 2017, the rates between USIC and Integrity was pretty much the same as now. At that time, Integrity was charging you, I think, $18 to locate a utility within 1 hour. USIC was charging $18 to locate it within 30 minutes. So the way I was thinking back then, I said, well, you have an hour to locate the utility, and they're charging you less. Now, let's look at the other way. That means that they will take 1 hour, up to 1 hour to locate it. If you go with USIC, they do the locates within 20 to 15 minutes.
They get that faster.
Faster, which means your productivity is going to increase.
Correct.
But I was not looking through those lenses back then. I said, well, it takes more time, but
I totally
what you want to have is more productivity. That's one. Second one, we've had a near miss with Integrity last year. They failed to identify a power line. So we met with them to address that issue. And they put additional people to prevent this from happening. But a near miss can cost you more than the difference between. That's the second justification.
100% agree.
And the third one is, over the past year, we have called for locates, and they have not responded at all. So then, in the case of electric, Bruce Baldwin has to call them and say, what's going on? And the manager or supervisor said, let me find out. 30 minutes later, said, well, I sent the locating technicians to the site. But that's poor, to me, communications. If they're gonna be late, they should contact us, telling us we're gonna be there in 30 minutes. We shouldn't be calling them so they can tell us what's the problem. So then Sharon Rose, she's been with the city for a long time, and she said that the service from USIC is superior based on her experience in the city. So we thought paying the like I said, the USIC fee structure is higher than Integrity, but we felt that they will do a better job. And also they can identify the locates in a shorter period of time, so it can be more productive. That's the main reason.
Totally justifiable and understandable.
Are there any more questions? I'd entertain a motion to approve a recommendation to the City Council to execute a contract with USIC Locating Services, LLC, for utility locates effective January 1st, 2023.
I so move. I second.
Motion by Williams, seconded by Plon. Motion carried. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. The second item under new business, consider a recommendation to the City Council to award a contract to Lamp, Ryerson, and Associates, Inc., for the design of the 183rd Street Water Interconnection with Water District 7. Sorry. Wanted to make sure everyone was awake tonight.
So in 2019, we did a joint study with Rural Water 7, also known as Water 7, for to do a feasibility of water distribution system between the two entities, us and them. So the cost of that study was a split 50-50. That study identified that we could have a interconnection with Water 7 at 183rd Street. Why 183rd is because on 183rd, probably about a quarter of a mile, you have your water tower. So we can use a interconnection to have direct access to the water tank. So based on that study, we went ahead and added a CIP WA 2204 for the 183rd interconnection. And there's the funds, what we estimated is $200,000 to do that connection. Something perhaps I need to explain. Right now, there is a single transmission line between Hillsdale and the city of Gardner. It's over 4 miles. If something happens or we have to shut off that transmission line for any reason, we won't have any other way of supplying water to the city of Gardner. So when we saw the feasibility of the water of the study, we went ahead and talked with Water 7 if there will be if we will get their buy-in. And at that point, they say, yeah, we'll support a interconnection between the two utilities. So as part of the CIP, we needed to find a consultant to do the actual design for the interconnection. Since Lamb Reinerson did the original study, we requested what's the terminology? A competitive bid waiver so we can go directly with Lamb Reinerson. So that was approved. So basically, we're seeking approval to go ahead and do the interconnection using Lamb Reinerson and Associate as the consultant for the engineering design.
Can I get clarification on something that you said that kind of works? So you're saying there's this one pipe. If something happens to that pipe, the city of Gardner has no water.
Correct.
I mean, this,
But you have some water.
no.
No, if you shut,
He's saying that this
let's
pipe-
say it's noon, and you have a main break on the transmission line.
Yeah, but you have an interconnect with Olathe, right?
No.
No.
That's what he's saying, yeah, this is it, so, yeah, it's like, this is a backup, kind of like, if something happens, we can get water. So we can self-supply that, they can help supply us.
So the interconnection might supply us about 1 million gallons in an emergency. But I think is for the investment, I think having that interconnection is a prudent way of ensuring additional water in case of an emergency.
Oh, okay.
Now-
I didn't know.
As part of this study done in 2018, we also have a CIP project starting next year for a second transmission line from Hillsdale all the way to the city. So we'll have a redundancy. But still, until that happens, that can take 2 to 3 years. I think having an interconnection for emergency, I think is worth it.
So what is the timeline for this one? To get
That
this-
should be done within 2023.
Okay.
The second supply line.
No, second is gonna take 3 years.
This one.
Because it's gonna go from Hillsdale, those who have been at the plant, we're gonna go straight along Moonlight in order to install a new transmission line, we need to acquire easements and maybe land. And that process is very lengthy.
Yeah, and I'm surprised we don't have the rule of three, because if you have your main thing, if you have to shut that down for maintenance, and something happens to your backup, you should always have a third to back up the backup, just in case something happens. So I'm surprised it's all, I agree, I'm just surprised we don't already have that.
And we had the transmission line, water transmission line has been in service for almost 20 years.
So it's about time for maintenance.
So it's gonna require maintenance, in my opinion, sometime soon.
And you anticipate this to be done in 2023?
The interconnection, yes, ma'am.
All right, so we split the cost of the study in what, 2018, is that what it was?
Yes.
50/50. We obviously know the benefit we are getting as a city. Is there a benefit that Water 7 is getting from this?
Due to the gradient or pressure difference between their system and our system, if we wanna supply water to Water 7, we need to put a booster pump. So right now, if we put a plain interconnection, we can transfer water from them to us, but we cannot do that on the opposite. So if they want water from us, they will have to put a booster station.
Do you know if that's something they're considering?
They're evaluating that right now. Because if they want the booster station, now is the time to do both.
Okay. I was just curious why they paid for half of the project or half of the.
Because they understand that there's a need for an interconnection between the two cities for emergency.
Right. If they weren't benefiting from it, just trying to understand why they would spend money, but if they're considering that, then that makes sense. So it looks like, the interconnection then would be funded 200,000, but the interconnection is 58,702.47.
That's for the engineering.
For this engineering.
And then I will estimate another 150 for the actual implementation.
And that will be the total 200.
Correct. But I think it might be a little more because of the problems we have in getting materials and supplies.
With inflation and stuff.
Getting more expensive by the day.
Any more questions?
Not for me, no.
I'll entertain a motion to approve a recommendation to the City Council to award a contract to Lamp Rynearson and Associates Incorporated for the design of the 183rd Street Water Interconnection with Water District 7 in the amount of $58,702.47 as part of the WA 2204 project.
I'll make a motion.
Motion
I'll
made by
second.
Brian, Augustine, seconded by Williams. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Then we move on to project updates. Discussion items, project updates.
So project updates. No, don't have any project updates. We can go directly to the outreach reports.
Oh, you don't have the electric, sewer, and water quarter repair report?
Yeah, that's a item, actually it's a second item,
Oh, I
or
understand.
third item, or, I don't know.
What about the sub-batteries? Oh, that's in the last month's business. I'm sorry. Forget I said it.
So the electric third quarter reliability index, it was adopted early this year. And for October 2020, for the month, we had 0 minutes of the SID. There's a definitions on the bottom. your KID was 0 minutes, the SI was 100%, the MIFI was 0.0151, the SIFI was 0.0013, customer affected 6,667, and interruptions per mile 68.38. That means that for every mile we had 68.38 interruptions. What's it last? October, we had a power blink from the transmission, which is average. And that basically took all the meters out of service for about a few seconds. So that's why you see a high number of customers affected. Although it was a momentary, it's still reported.
It was on a Sunday morning, I believe.
I don't remember.
A real hard blink. It went off, clear off, and right back on.
Yeah, should we set the clock on the stove, maybe my freezer in the garage?
Because mine didn't see it, so.
But I thought if the interruption was less than a certain amount of seconds, it wasn't counted.
No, it's
Is
still,
that-
it's still counting.
It does?
So the meter itself, and this is an issue, a point of discussion with NextGrid. I've told them that anything less than a minute shouldn't be reported. The problem is that the meter is so sensitive that if it sees a blink, it's gonna say, I don't have any power, even if it takes a quarter of a second. So I say, I don't have any power, it's an outage. But if we go by the APPA standards, anything less than 5 minutes is not considered as part of a sustained outage. Now, NextGrid uses 1 minute. So they're trying to adapt the APP standards to their software. So everything will be the same between the APPA and them. You know, and that will drive these numbers even lower.
Yeah, like,
How long do you
pretty good.
anticipate that to take?
They told me they were working on it during the summer. Still, I have not seen any results.
Hopefully they have different people doing that than they have their app.
He said that, not me.
Sorry.
But it was in my
No,
mind.
I was impacted by that, right? It was very quick and the power was back on, so.
So over here, the index, I think that we used to track it differently, is the SID, which is your System Average Interruption Duration Index. So that's about, for October, you see it's 0 minutes, it was. But for the year, 39 minutes, which is what we used to report in the past when we used to do the other method, it was about 30 minutes on the average.
Are there any other questions?
How are we getting the year-to-date totals for SAIDI and CAIDI?
So NextGrid,
If I'm looking at the numbers and the math correctly.
well, since we implemented this in April, I believe, I don't have the data for January, February, and March.
Yeah.
So I cannot give you a monthly number, but I can give you a year-to-date that includes January, February, and March. So just by looking at those numbers may not reflect what actually happened on January, February, and March, because I don't have the data.
Well, so what I'm looking at here is on the year-to-date for SAIDI, it says 39 minutes, but on May, it says 41.
Correct. So again, we're missing January, February, and March. I don't know what those numbers are.
So is it an average between,
So year-to-date, the average between is your period January through October. That includes will be 10 months.
so they're taking 41 plus 6,
41 plus 6 plus whatever that number used to be in January. I don't know what the numbers
So
are.
the year-to-date is not a total, it's an average.
The year-to-date is I would say an average is your period between January 1st and October 31st.
Right, but is it a total of the outage minutes?
So it's looking at I guess you can call it an average, but it's looking at that period.
Okay.
Which means it can be less than your monthly numbers. Because you have 0, 0, 41. If you get an average, if you use a true average, the number is not be less. It'll be 40,
Okay.
48.
So the bottom line, the year-to-date line is not just a total number of the outage minutes. There's some kind of a weight and math that goes
Correct,
into
yeah.
figuring out that number. Okay, got it. That's what I didn't understand.
So just by looking at the numbers, you won't come up with the year-to-date.
Right, yeah, because if it was a total, I would expect it to have been 47, instead of 39.
So do we feel familiar with this methodology, or?
Well, is the,
Are we
purpose of this-
familiar to feel comfortable that with this methodology, which is the industry standard, versus the way we used to do it before?
I don't think it's a matter of feeling comfortable, just trying to wrap the head around and understand.
is the purpose of this exercise to pick one of these methods?
No,
Or
I
are
mean,
still
you have
gonna use all of them?
to use all of them. And each index is providing you different information.
Okay, I got it.
But like I mentioned earlier this year, this way we can compare Gardner to other cities because they're using the same methodology.
Right, the indexes are used, what, nationwide?
Actually, it's worldwide.
Worldwide, and you can compare to other utilities.
So we can see how well we're doing versus, let's say, Ottawa or Baldwin City.
Is this something that's shared with the employees?
Only with the electric distribution.
Only what?
Electric distribution.
Or whoever watches the meetings.
Yeah,
Or where watching these meetings or review the material. Correct.
because I would think this would be a motivational thing to try to keep that average high or low, however you're looking at it.
Well, I think you want to be under the national average, correct?
Yeah, and I don't have that. What the targets I set early this year were based on 2021 targets. So my thoughts were we want to do better than 2021. That's how I determined those targets.
And then ultimately, we want to be better than our peer-sized
Correct.
utility.
Correct.
Is it possible to go back and populate these numbers with January, February, March, or no?
I will have to do a manual calculation. I mean, I can do it, but it'll take time.
I don't think it would be that.
Probably not the best use of time.
No.
It'll populate itself over
I-
time.
I'm sitting here just thinking like, right, to get a true year-over-year representation of this data, right, we would need it for a full year and then a second full year.
Yep.
Really to be able to make comparisons. So now we're looking at, the end of 2024, when we can really compare.
2 consecutive
full
years.
Apples to apples
Yep.
on it. So
Well, could you compare with
check
12
questions.
months? Could you compare with the 12-month average? If you had like, at the end of March of 2023, could you compare your numbers then?
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
we can go with a 12-month period. Any questions, confusions?
No, everything's fine, fine.
So this was a traditional report that we used in the past. So what I like to do, I mean, I can present it, but I would like to just focus on the first report rather than using this one as our, I guess, how well we're performing. Any questions, comments? Because I know early this year, it was a commissioner, I remember, who wanted to see both. So my question, do we need to keep still both?
I'm good with the indexes.
I'm good.
I'm good with the index.
No, industry standard seems fine. Not gonna make you do extra.
And even if we use the APPA standard or IEEE, I can still come up with the pie charts because we're still tracking that. So we can still come up with that type of graph or chart.
The one that we're looking at now.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think that would be sufficient.
Okay. On sewer third quarter report, we had eight issues affecting 6 customers, 6 due to resident issues, 2 due to other issues. The average workday response time was 15 minutes, and the average workday repair time 57. The after-hour response time was 24 minutes, and the repair time an hour and 17 minutes. The overall average response time was 17 minutes with a repair time of an hour and 2 minutes. Now, for sewer and water, they are also standards. So I'm trying to get more information so we can have the same, I guess, idea to have standards used by cities so we can compare our performance. I hope to have something by next year.
Gonz, did you say for sewer and water? Okay.
And you said cities, so that would just be statewide, maybe?
That's American Water Works Association.
Oh, okay.
So that's the entire USA and also other countries.
And you hope to have that by next year, you said?
Yes, I will propose something for next year. Any questions?
Looking at the pie chart here, what, for this one, any additional info, what residents' issue is?
And let's go to the,
Somebody shoved a shovel down and broke it.
Do you want me to go back?
so basically resident issue is you have your main, your sewer main,
Yeah.
is tapped for a service line. So anything downstream of the tap is a resident issue.
Oh, okay, I got you.
So it can be a problem with the
You're saying
service,
it's- Right, you're just saying it's on my side.
it's not on the
I
cities,
understand.
correct.
Okay. I've said it before, I'll make the call out, residents, don't dump your grease down the sink. Fat, bacon fat, don't rinse that down, paper towel, trash can.
So sometimes we get a call out for a sewer backup. So what we usually do, put a camera to see what the problem is. And sometimes it's due by roots, sometimes grease accumulation, you can see it coming out of the service line. So we classify that as a resident issue.
Fair enough.
It's a brand new battery or something. On the water side, we had 14 repairs affecting 28 customers, 5 due to line failure, 1 due to saddle failure, 3 due to resin issue, and 5 due to other issues. The average workday response time was 60 minutes, and average workday repair time was 1 hour and 38 minutes. The average after-hours response time was 24 minutes, and the average after-hours repair time was 3 hours and 57 minutes. The overall average response time was 18, and the overall average repair time was 2 hours and 18 minutes. And over here, that's a true average. So we take the average workday and the average after hours. That's how we come up with the average. Any questions?
No.
I believe that's all I have. Unless you have any questions?
I just have one question on this pie chart. There seems to be quite a few damaged by others. Right?
Yep,
Am I reading that correct?
correct.
Do we bill them for damage?
Every time somebody, a resident or a contractor damage city infrastructure, they're invoiced for the damage.
Because normally they have insurance that would pay for that, hopefully.
Well, damage by other means you have to be third party.
Yeah.
So it's not a customer, it's not the city, so it has to be somebody else. And yeah, we issue invoices for repairs.
Okay.
That's on electric, water, and wastewater.
I have a couple questions, and this one, I'm gonna jump back to the, new, interconnection with Water 7. I just was curious, were there any other sites that might be a possibility for, an interconnection that, were found? I know we said the 183rd, but said about.
So currently, the city has, I think, 3 or 4 interconnections with Water 7. But the pipeline is, I think, like 3-4 inch. So you couldn't get much out of those interconnections.
Okay.
So when we looked at the, when Lamb Reinerson looked at the distribution system, they identified that 183rd was the best location because we're half a mile from our water tower. So you can supply water directly to the water tower.
Gotcha. Okay. The net billing, I think is what we're calling it.
Net, the quasi, net meter.
Quasi billing.
That was scheduled for city council next Monday, but I'm taking time off, so it's scheduled for the 21st.
Okay, good for you.
21st of November.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
I didn't think it was gonna be till January.
So it's gonna go for a approval and it will go into effect January 1st.
Okay.
City council. Okay.
No, I meant city council in January. I thought it was gonna
Oh, yeah, I thought we
But
did
that's
that,
great.
And that we wanted it to go into
Make it effective.
the effective. I don't believe that I've seen the last 2, UAC meetings show up on YouTube with all the other, meetings. Is that technical difficulties? That, okay, that's.
Because I wasn't there.
And
That's
it's
We didn't
right,
have
that's
service,
right.
So, okay.
And today, IT told me that they, like, tonight,
exciting enough here. Still.
Yeah, because you
So-
can see city council and city planning, but you don't know why.
They don't wanna show me on camera.
Cause I hit this, every time I hit the record and the streaming, and it never is on there, so.
Yeah. Fair enough. I think that's all the things that I wanted to ask about.
Anyone else have anything? Well, I want to congratulate you on the email that I received. Gardner wastewater plant earns triple award winner status. The City of Gardner Kill Creek Water Resource Recovery Facility is a 3-time 2022 Kansas Water Environment Association Award winner. The wastewater treatment plant's winnings include the KWEA Safety Award, Best Plant in Class 4 Award, and the George W. Burke Facility Safety Award. It's very commendable.
Thank you. That's because we have an excellent staff running and operating the plant.
And run by an excellent leader.
Actually, the one that should get the credit is Scott Milholland. He's the superintendent. He got the Operator of the Year, Kansas Operator of the Year, 2021.
Awesome. Be sure to pass on our thanks and congratulations.
I will.
To the team.
Yes.
And I believe the next tour is the wastewater treatment plant.
Has it been set, a date?
Not yet, but I think that's the next one.
Okay. I'll look forward to that.
Are there any other discussion? Can I get a motion to adjourn?
I motion.
Motion made by Plon,
I'll second.
seconded by Augustine to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
Good job.